Do you sometimes feel unconcentrated, unmotivated, low on energy, thinking about doing a task, but at the end doing nothing? In most cases, it's not because you're lazy or have ADHD. In most cases, it's because of dopamine. If you have never heard about it, I'm going to explain it to you how I understand it, but I gotta mention that I'm not a doctor or a neuropsychologist or any psychology student, so I'm just gonna explain it to you how I understand it and how I manage to work with it. Dopamine is a thing in your head, exactly a neurotransmitter, that plays a big role when it comes to concentration, motivation, and actually enjoying doing things. To make it clear, dopamine is connected with these 6 sections: reward system, mental health, addiction, regulation, movement, and function. But again, dopamine is more complicated. I'm not a doctor or a psychology student or any neuroscientist. It's just based off what I learned and how it helped me. Starting with the reward system, dopamine is often called as the feel-good neurotransmitter because it's released during enjoyment, situations you like and enjoy, and stimulating feelings. Long story short, everything that you like, the reaction of your brain to it is that it releases dopamine. It doesn't matter if it's playing games, doing sports, playing video games, watching YouTube videos, enjoying chocolate, or even talking to a person you like or enjoy talking to. It's also released when you watch TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Netflix, and all around social media. About social media, we can also switch to the next section, which is addiction. I don't want to talk about the hard addictions like drinking certain stuff or taking certain stuff, but when we talk about social media addiction, there are some key things you need to realize. That social media plays a big role when it comes to addiction. Nowadays, we're glued to our phones, PCs, TVs, and watch certain reels on TikTok, Instagram, also watch films and play video games on our computers. Most of the time we do those things, but in 99.9% they give nothing back. Because it's an easy source of dopamine and enjoyment, we can easily create an addiction to it and be glued to it for at least, I don't know, like 6, 7, or 8 hours a day. After analyzing and finding different studies and different sources and reading a lot of articles, I found that the average screen time a Gen Z person has, or an average teenager nowadays has, is 6.1 hours a day, which is at least 40 hours a week, 150 hours a month, and around 1,800 hours a year. But it's actually pretty complicated to imagine how many 1,000 or 2,000 hours are in a year. To turn 1,800 hours into days, it's around 70 to 80 days a year, which we spend here on our phones. Right now we know what dopamine is, how many hours per day we spend on average on our phones, but let's talk about the influence on our brains and on our mental health. Because if we talk about mental health, low dopamine levels can actually cause a certain amount of depression, and that is in most cases the fact. Because just imagine you look on your phone, I don't know, like for 6 or 7 hours only on Instagram. How do you feel? You feel lazy, unmotivated, unconcentrated, and bad about yourself, but you don't know why. When we talk about mental health, low dopamine levels can actually cause minor depressions. Just for imagining, how do you feel if you watch 2, 3, or 4 hours on Instagram Reels and you just scroll, do nothing? How do you feel? In most cases you feel bad, but you don't know why. The main reason is because your dopamine levels dropped at a low level, and that causes that you feel bad. Again, I'm not a doctor, I don't know why exactly, but that's how the brain reacts, or the body reacts, long story short. Also, consuming short form videos for a long period of time can make you unconcentrated for even a longer period of time. You just have to imagine that dopamine, or your body, works like a battery. You wake up in the morning, energized, but full of energy, but every time you do something that you enjoy, you do something that releases dopamine, the dopamine level drops a little bit. It restarts throughout the day, but I don't want to get too deep into it, because after certain cycles it resets a little bit, but I don't want to get into it. But yeah, if you wake up in the morning, you're full of energy. Throughout the day, you release dopamine because you do things. You do things that you don't like, you do things that you like. But you can actually work with dopamine pretty well If you want to feel energized and want to actually feel better, here are some simple tips on how I managed to get everything done, feel energized, and feel better about myself, and actually dropping my screen time from an enormous 10 to 8 hours to a 4 or 5. I know it's not 0, it's not even 1 or 2, but you have to keep in mind that I do social media a lot. I work for companies that run social media. I'm running their social media, so I'm working with it a lot. So I'm trying to limit it at 5 hours a day, but 90% of those 5 hours I'm using for work. So I'm watching max 1 hour a day on Instagram, which is for me a healthy limit. But let's get to the point how to actually start your dopamine levels and feel better about yourself. I practice something called dopamine detox or social media dopamine detox. There are some ways how you can do it. The first way you can do it is just basically uninstall or delete any app you have, like Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. Totally delete it and never use it again. This is for me, or in my opinion, too extreme. Just imagining that a lot of friends of you text you through Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, and even send you reels, and it's a part of the communication. It's nowadays almost impossible to delete it, because how can you describe to someone that, yo, call me, just call me on my phone number? I mean, if you have good friends, it's possible, but nowadays all the communication works through Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, or even on TikTok. That brings us to the part what I did to actually get my dopamine levels right and concentrate and do all the things that I need, and that is get a timer on apps. You can just go to your settings, set a timer for different apps, for example, for Instagram, for a half hour, 1 hour, or 2 hours a day. And if you reach that limit, the iPhone or Instagram or the settings will actually alert you that you reach your limit and you should close the app. Of course, you can press the button like I want to stay on the app and it will reset and it will remind you in the next 5, 10, or 15 minutes. But if you're serious about it, you will just close the app and do the things you have to do. This is probably the best way how to start instead of deleting all the apps you have. This actually brings us to the next step, what I also did, is to staying busy. It's sometimes hard to actually stay busy. I can imagine that you have nothing to do all day. You can just lay in bed and think, how can I stay busy? It's way easier than you think. Staying busy is not that hard. You still find things every day you can do. For example, if you have a project, not due tomorrow, but in a week, in a month, you can start working on it. You can read a lot, you can work out a lot. For example, if you don't work out, I recommend it. A fit body helps to a fit mind. A healthy body helps to a healthy brain. That's the key. That's also the keys to success and to a good life. Because if you have a healthy body, the brain will work better, faster, even with studying. If you go to the gym, if you move a lot, your brain will work way faster than you can imagine. A lot of athletes do it. A lot of athletes actually learn way faster than the average human because they're, I don't know, I'm not a doctor, I don't want to get into it. But also from my experience, when I move or when I go to the gym, when I play sports, when I do anything, and then go study, I study way faster. So keep yourself busy. Study, try to make some money online, talk to a friend, talk to your family, go for a walk, go for a run, hit the gym, read a lot, because reading is something that is very underestimated, because to be honest, I hated reading. Right now I'm reading around 5 to 10 pages a day. It's not a lot because I hated reading, but I just set a limit to read at least 5 to 10 pages a day from certain books. I have finished now 4 books in the last half year. So I can consider it as a big plus in my life, because reading actually helps to clear your mind and to have a clear vision. And then also helps you to concentrate and enter flow state. But that's just my opinion because I view it like that and it helps me like that. But social media is not 100% bad for you. It's still good. It has some good parts because you can get motivated, you can compare yourself, and you can actually get inspired to do a lot of things. I know a lot of people talk about that comparison and comparing yourself is not good, but if you view it a little bit different, it can motivate you and push you to do more and better things. For example, if you compare yourself in the gym to a bodybuilder, it's probably not the best way to compare it in the way how you look, but it can motivate you to see what you can achieve. I don't say that you have to compare yourself to a bodybuilder on some gear, but it can motivate you to actually see how you can look like or what can you achieve, and that's a good thing. But don't take social media for 100% bad. Still imagine the yin yang circle or the yin yang sign. It's a black and white sign where in the white field you have a black dot and in the black field you have a white dot. It symbolizes that in everything good is something bad and that in everything bad is something good. You can't have something that is 100% bad. It might seem at first, but in the end, there is still something good in it. For example, social media helped me to learn better English, talk to a camera, start a social media account on Instagram, right now also on YouTube and on other platforms. It helped me to get a job, like 2 jobs in it. And it also helped me to create good connections, contacts, and friends online. So there's never 100% bad on social media. But the dopamine releases, that's bad. You gotta control it. You can also create a plan, but I think it's a little bit complicated in this field because it's complicated to create a plan for social media consumption. So I would just do a limit, throw the phone away, keep it in another room when you're working. For example, when you work on a project, just keep it on airplane mode, put it in another room, or tell your parents, here's my phone, I will pick it up in an hour, and you will actually see that you will feel better, more energized, you will have more energy, and you will get more things done. Which in this society where everything's go way fast, it's probably the most important thing to get things done and to have a lot of free time, because right now it's hard. It's not hard, it's harder. We can still work with it, so that's good. We can still find a way to make it better, so don't panic. So yeah, that's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you enjoyed it, leave a like or also comment on this video because I will answer to every comment. And you can also visit my Instagram page where I have right now over 50,000 followers, which is insane. I want to thank you so much to everyone who followed. Also, thank you for watching this video again. And yeah, I hope that you quit your social media addiction, that you learned something about dopamine, even though I'm not an expert in it. I'm just sharing what I learned, what helped me. And I hope you have a wonderful day, wonderful week, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.